After 30,000 years, the aliens return to Earth, but they're not here to destroy. They're here to reclaim what was lost. Will humanity be ready to face the truth of the universe? If you want to witness more epic tales of human courage, strategy, and unstoppable power, make sure to subscribe to HFY Sci-Fi now. After 30,000 years of silence, the stars above Earth suddenly seemed different. A subtle shimmer appeared that no astronomer had ever recorded. The planets moved slightly out of alignment, and satellites began picking up strange signals. At first, scientists thought it was a glitch, but the signals grew stronger, forming patterns that repeated in perfect sequences. Alarms went off in observatories around the world, and soon news agencies reported unusual activity in the skies. The world didn't understand what was happening, but instinctively, people felt something monumental was approaching. In remote deserts and cities alike, people looked up in awe. Telescopes captured enormous shapes moving slowly but with impossible precision. The shapes were not clouds or meteors. They reflected sunlight in strange metallic glows. The size was staggering. Each vessel large enough to hold entire cities. Governments convened emergency meetings, trying to decide if these were weapons, envoys, or something entirely beyond human comprehension. Scientists argued about the source. Some suggested natural phenomena, but deep down, everyone knew this was something else, something deliberate. The ships were unlike anything seen before. Their surfaces smooth but not made of any material humans knew. They emitted a soft, humming vibration that could be felt through the ground and in the bones. People reported dizziness, a strange feeling of calm mixed with awe. Animals reacted oddly. Birds flying in chaotic patterns, and whales singing different songs. All of nature seemed to recognize the return of something ancient, something that had once been part of the story of Earth, yet no one alive had ever witnessed it before. From the skies, the ships appeared to communicate in bursts of light and harmonic sounds. The signals were not understood, yet humans felt a connection, a recognition as if they were remembering something long forgotten. In a small observatory in Iceland, a young astronomer realized the sequence of lights matched star maps recorded thousands of years ago in ancient texts. Myths that were dismissed as legend suddenly seemed like warnings, reminders, messages left for future generations. Humanity began to grasp that Earth was not alone, that it had never been alone. The aliens' mission was not hostile, at least at first. Their presence felt deliberate and purposeful. It was clear they were searching, scanning the planet with tools and energies beyond human technology. Maps and satellites tracked their movement, noting patterns that suggested intelligence and planning. It became obvious that this was a mission to reclaim something lost, something they had left behind or had been taken from them. Humanity's curiosity grew, mixed with fear, knowing that this encounter would redefine everything understood about history, about life itself. Across continents, people speculated endlessly. Social media exploded with theories, some believing the aliens were messengers, others fearing destruction. Conspiracy theories gained momentum, but scientists urged calm, stating that the signs suggested observation rather than aggression. News networks covered every moment as the fleet moved silently above oceans and deserts, shadows cast by the ships darkened cities briefly. And for the first time in modern history, the world felt united in anticipation, whether in wonder or in dread. Meanwhile, in government and research centers, teams worked around the clock, trying to understand the signals, to interpret patterns, to send messages back, but no human signal could match the precision or complexity of the alien frequency. It was as if humans were hearing a language they had forgotten existed, a song of the cosmos. The more they observed, the more they realized humanity had been part of a larger story, a story paused but not ended, waiting for the right moment to resume. And now that moment had come. People everywhere began to change. Their perception of life shifted. The world seemed smaller and larger at the same time. Children asked questions that adults could barely answer. Artists painted visions of ships in the skies. Writers and scientists speculated on the past and future. Religions and philosophies reconsidered old texts, wondering if these arrivals were part of prophecies. A global sense of destiny spread. An understanding that Earth itself was not a lonely rock in space, but a living planet with secrets and connections stretching far beyond what humans could imagine. The awakening had begun, and with it, the countdown to first contact. Humanity stood on the edge of history, feeling both fear and excitement, knowing that in the coming days, nothing would remain the same. The world held its breath, and the stars above seemed to pulse with anticipation, waiting for the moment when the secrets of 30,000 years would be revealed, when the aliens would finally show why they had returned and what they had come to recover. Massive alien ships appeared over Earth's major cities, their immense forms reflecting sunlight in a way that made them seem alive. People stopped what they were doing to stare. Some screamed in fear while others dropped to their knees in awe. The ships moved silently, without any sound of engines or wind, yet the air seemed to vibrate slightly, like a distant that resonated inside the chest. Governments scrambled to issue warnings, but no fighter jets or missiles could reach the towering vessels. Satellites tried to track them, but signals bounced strangely, as if the ships were bending reality itself. In New York, London, Tokyo, and countless other cities, millions of people poured into streets and parks, cameras and phones capturing every angle of the strange visitors. News channels broadcast live 24/7, showing the scale of the arrival. The ships were taller than skyscrapers and wider than stadiums. Shadows cast by them stretched for miles, and light seemed to bend around their edges in mesmerizing patterns. Scientists rushed to study the phenomenon, but most had never seen anything like it. The world had entered an era it could never have imagined. The ships began hovering in precise formations, moving in ways that defied gravity, spiraling in perfect arcs above oceans and mountains, as if performing a choreographed dance across the globe. People reported feeling emotions they could not explain. Sudden waves of calm mixed with unease, a sense that something important was about to happen. Strange sounds emanated from the ships, harmonic tones that were felt as much as heard. And though no one understood the meaning, humans instinctively knew these visitors were intelligent, deliberate, and far beyond anything they had encountered. As the ships settled into orbit above key locations, the aliens made their presence undeniable. Lights projected onto the clouds in intricate patterns, messages that no human alphabet could decipher. But some people reported visions of symbols and images in their minds, as if the ships were communicating directly with consciousness. Scientists speculated the signals might contain instructions or warnings, but decoding them proved impossible. Even supercomputers could not fully process the complexity, and yet every human who looked at the display felt an unspoken connection, a pull toward understanding. In cities across the world, emergency services struggled to manage the chaos. People panicked, rioted, or simply froze in place, while others marveled at the beauty of the sight. Children laughed at the shadows, and elderly citizens whispered that this reminded them of stories passed down for generations. Governments convened international councils, sharing satellite data and research, debating how to respond. Military leaders urged caution, scientists pleaded for observation. And yet no one dared approach aggressively, knowing instinctively that any reckless action could provoke unknown consequences. The aliens' communication attempts became more noticeable, harmonic waves sweeping through the atmosphere, causing compasses to spin and electronics to flicker. Animals reacted with confusion or awe, birds refusing to fly, whales singing differently. Even plants seemed to respond subtly to the energy in the air. People began recording their own experiences, sharing stories online of visions, feelings, and dreams that connected to the visitors. Humanity slowly realized that this was not just a visual spectacle, but a full sensory encounter, touching minds, hearts, and spirits. Even as fear grew, fascination spread faster. Schools, universities, and research labs became centers of intense study. Volunteers from all over the world attempted to track the signals, to predict patterns, and to find ways to respond safely. Artists and writers imagined what the visitors could be. Philosophers debated whether this was the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. The internet became flooded with theories, memes, and debates. But underneath all the chatter, a single thought united people everywhere. The universe had come back to knock on Earth's door, and humans could not ignore it. Then, one day, a ship projected a massive holographic image above the Amazon rainforest, showing a structure that resembled a star map, with Earth at its center. Millions watched in shock and wonder. The image rotated, highlighting points in space no human had ever seen, and for the first time, the aliens' intelligence became undeniable. This was not just a visit. It was a mission, a search, a return for something lost. Humans understood that the ships were not here randomly. They were here with purpose. And that purpose would soon reveal itself. As the hours turned into days, the world adjusted to the new reality. People lived under the constant presence of alien ships. Work, school, and daily life continued under their shadows, yet every human could feel the weight of history pressing down. Knowing that nothing would ever be the same again, governments debated, scientists speculated, and ordinary people looked up at the sky with hope, fear, and curiosity. The aliens had arrived not as conquerors, but as seekers, and humanity had become part of a story that began 30,000 years ago, finally unfolding in real time. A calm, melodic voice suddenly filled the air across every continent, resonating in every language at once, yet somehow it sounded like a single thought. The aliens had found a way to speak directly to humans without words, as humans knew them. Governments and scientists scrambled to capture the transmission. Recordings played over and over, but the meaning went deeper than simple translation. People felt emotions, images, memories, as if the aliens were sharing pieces of understanding directly into their minds, fear mixed with wonder, and the world collectively paused to listen. The voice carried a message of urgency and purpose. The aliens explained that they had come for something lost long ago, an artifact of immense power and knowledge buried deep beneath Earth. Humans had encountered it by accident thousands of years ago, unaware of its true importance. Myths and legends suddenly made sense. Symbols in ancient ruins, carvings in caves, and forgotten scrolls all pointed to the existence of this object. Archaeologists were stunned as their studies aligned with the aliens' revelations. History books needed rewriting, and humanity felt the weight of its own forgotten past. The aliens shared glimpses of their civilization through mental images, cities floating in space, forests of metal and light, technology beyond imagination, beings of incredible intelligence and longevity. Yet humans could sense a deep sadness in their return. The loss of what was taken had haunted them for millennia, and now they had come not to punish, but to reclaim and to heal a part of their history. Humans realized that Earth itself had been a cradle for more than their own species, and that the past was far richer than anyone had imagined. Scientists worked frantically to understand the alien communications, attempting to translate the harmonic frequencies into something readable. Yet every attempt revealed more complexity. Equations within melodies, geometries hidden in tones. It was as if the aliens' language was alive, capable of conveying knowledge, emotion, and intent all at once. Every human who heard it felt inspired, challenged, and small at the same time. For the first time in history, humanity realized that learning could be instantaneous, and understanding could transcend words. Across the globe, people began connecting with one another, sharing experiences of the transmission. Families huddled together to discuss visions they had seen. Students wrote down fleeting images of alien landscapes and strange symbols. Artists painted what they felt in their hearts. Musicians tried to recreate the tones, and philosophers debated the meaning of existence and destiny. Religion and science intertwined as the voice spoke directly to the core of human curiosity. And yet, the aliens insisted that the next steps required humanity's own courage and intelligence, not just passive observation. The artifact's importance became clearer. It was not simply a treasure or a weapon, but a repository of knowledge, containing the secrets of the galaxy, technologies, histories, and wisdom lost to time. The aliens explained that humans had a part to play, not merely as witnesses, but as collaborators. Their ancestors had unwittingly interacted with this object, and now humanity's actions would determine whether the recovery would succeed peacefully or provoke conflict. The responsibility was enormous, yet humans were beginning to rise to the challenge. Their creativity, bravery, and intelligence tested like never before. People began studying ancient texts with renewed intensity, connecting dots that had been ignored for centuries. Myths about strange visitors, powerful objects, and cosmic knowledge suddenly gained real meaning. Historians, linguists, and archaeologists became part of a global effort to understand what the aliens were asking. Teams of scholars from different countries worked together, overcoming political and cultural differences. United by a purpose bigger than themselves, humanity discovered that this challenge was not just about the aliens, but about understanding its own origins and potential. Meanwhile, the aliens continued to project images and knowledge. Teaching without dominating, guiding without forcing, humans learned about energy sources, star systems, and civilizations that existed far before Earth was even formed. And yet every lesson carried a test of human perception, patience, and ingenuity. The aliens wanted to see if humans were ready, if they could handle the truth of the universe, and if they could rise to the challenge of helping reclaim what had been lost. The message was clear. Earth had a role in the cosmos, but it had to prove itself worthy. As days passed, humanity felt a profound change. Fear was replaced by curiosity, awe became action, and the sense of being alone in the universe diminished. Children asked questions that sparked new discoveries. Adults pushed boundaries of science and creativity. And for the first time, people understood that the universe was alive with connections, and that history was a living thread linking humans to beings far older and wiser. The awakening had deepened, and the world knew that the moment of discovery was approaching, when humans would be tested to help the aliens reclaim what was theirs. The aliens' presence over Earth became more than just a spectacle. It became a challenge, a test for humanity. They projected enormous holographic puzzles in deserts, mountains, and oceans, floating in the air like glowing geometric shapes. Each puzzle radiated energy and seemed impossible to solve at first glance. Scientists, engineers, mathematicians, and ordinary people were called upon to study them. The aliens had made it clear. These puzzles were not just for observation. They were a measure of human intelligence, creativity, and cooperation. The world now faced a test that would determine whether it could help recover what the aliens had lost. Teams formed across countries, sometimes rival nations working together for the first time. In Egypt, a team deciphered patterns in the desert puzzle using knowledge of ancient geometry. In Japan, engineers built machines to interact with the puzzle floating above Tokyo Bay. In the Amazon, biologists observed how the hologram responded to living energy. Humans experimented, failed, tried again, and slowly began to understand that the puzzles responded not only to logic, but to intuition, imagination, and emotional awareness. The aliens seemed to want more than answers. They wanted to see the depth of human thought. The puzzles were unlike anything humans had seen. Some floated above the ocean, shifting and changing constantly, requiring teams to coordinate across continents in real time. Messages flashed in harmonic tones. Patterns appeared and vanished in milliseconds. Ordinary computers could not keep up. Humans had to invent new ways to communicate, to analyze, and to act. The challenge forced collaboration on a global scale, breaking barriers of language, culture, and politics. People realized that solving the puzzles was not about competition, but unity. And the first seeds of a worldwide alliance began to grow. As the puzzles became more complex, strange phenomena began to occur around them. Time seemed to behave differently near the floating holograms. Some people reported seeing moments from the past or visions of possible futures. Strange energy pulses caused instruments to malfunction or reveal hidden readings. The world realized that these challenges were not only mental, but physical. And humans had to learn to sense and interact with energies beyond their understanding. Ordinary people found themselves doing extraordinary things, and everyday knowledge suddenly became powerful when combined with curiosity and courage. Even skeptics could not deny the impact of the puzzles. People who had doubted the aliens' intentions began to work alongside scientists and engineers. Children found solutions that adults had overlooked. Artists contributed ideas that solved geometric challenges, and philosophers suggested approaches that changed the way teams thought. The aliens watched silently, their harmonic messages rewarding insight and punishing mistakes, but always without violence. It became clear that this test was as much about humanity's heart and creativity as it was about its intelligence. Communication between teams became essential. Messages had to be sent across continents within seconds to synchronize actions on multiple puzzles. Satellites and networks were stretched to their limits, and yet people adapted, forming connections and strategies that defied previous limitations. The aliens' influence changed not only technology, but society itself. The world had to learn cooperation, trust, and adaptability quickly, because the success of the mission depended on every mind and every action contributing to the larger goal. As solutions began to emerge, humans noticed subtle rewards. Holograms responded with new symbols, guiding teams to deeper layers of the puzzle. Energy flows stabilized, and the planet seemed to hum in resonance with human progress. The aliens' purpose became clearer. This test was not to intimidate, but to prepare humanity for what was to come. The recovery of the lost artifact required understanding, courage, and ingenuity, and the puzzles were a way to awaken those qualities on a global scale. People began to document everything, not for fame or recognition, but because every insight might be needed to solve the next stage. Children, students, scientists, engineers, and even dreamers contributed, and slowly, a pattern of collaboration emerged. A global network of human intelligence and creativity connecting minds across oceans, borders, and cultures. The aliens observed, learning, teaching, and guiding. And humanity realized that the test was as much about discovering themselves as it was about helping the visitors. In the midst of this challenge, strange phenomena continued. Clouds shifted unnaturally, lights danced in the sky. The Earth vibrated subtly, as if acknowledging the effort. Humans began to sense a connection to the planet itself, understanding that the artifact they would recover was tied not only to the aliens, but to Earth. Every success and failure brought humanity closer to awakening hidden potential, and every person involved felt a sense of purpose unlike anything experienced before. The test was shaping a new future, one where humans were no longer just observers, but participants in a story written across the stars. By the end of the first phase of challenges, humanity had grown in ways impossible to measure. Individuals discovered strengths they never knew existed. Teams became more synchronized, and the world began to feel united under a single goal. The aliens' tests were not finished, but the awakening had begun, and humans were starting to understand that their courage, creativity, and cooperation would determine the fate of Earth and the mission to recover what had been lost for 30,000 years. After days of working through the aliens' complex puzzles, humanity finally traced the location of the artifact. It was buried deep under the ocean, in a trench so remote and dark that no human had ever explored it. The artifact pulsed with a faint energy, visible even through sonar and deep-sea imaging. Scientists realized this was no ordinary object. Its structure was crystalline, almost alive, humming with a frequency that resonated in both water and minds. The aliens explained that this artifact contained knowledge of civilizations long gone, wisdom accumulated across galaxies, and technology that could reshape understanding of life itself. Governments, scientists, and engineers worked together to plan a safe recovery. Underwater vessels, drones, and robotic arms were prepared for the expedition. Every step was calculated carefully, knowing the artifact's energy could be dangerous if mishandled. Military and civilian teams coordinated seamlessly, and for the first time in history, humanity acted as a single unit. The world watched anxiously as the expedition began. People from every continent hoping that this mission would succeed, that the secrets of 30,000 years ago could finally be uncovered. As the vessels descended into the trench, the artifact began to respond. Beams of light radiated outward, illuminating the surrounding water with a brilliance that had no natural explanation. Fish and deep-sea creatures reacted to the energy, swimming in strange patterns as if acknowledging the presence of something extraordinary. Humans on the surface felt tremors and pulses, vibrations that seemed to connect mind and body. The artifact's energy was not only technological, it was alive, intelligent, and aware, waiting to be understood and respected. When the artifact was finally reached, humans observed visions of the past, memories encoded within its crystalline structure, ancient cities on distant planets, beings of light and energy, civilizations that had vanished long before Earth had formed. Humans could see the history of the universe in fragments and feel the emotions of those who had created and protected the artifact. The aliens explained that long ago, humans had unknowingly interfered with it, taking it temporarily from its resting place, which caused the alien species to vanish for thousands of years. And now the circle was coming to completion. The retrieval required care. Every movement of robotic arms and divers had to be precise. The artifact reacted to intent as much as action. If a person approached with greed or fear, it would resist. If approached with curiosity, cooperation, and respect, it would respond. The humans learned to synchronize not only with machines, but with their own minds, listening to intuition, reading subtle signals, and understanding that this was more than science. It was a test of character. The aliens guided them through thought and harmonic communication, teaching patience and focus. As the artifact was lifted from the depths, it began to project knowledge directly into the minds of those nearby. Equations, star maps, technological designs, histories of civilizations, and ethical guidelines flowed into human consciousness. People gasped in amazement, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what they were witnessing. The boundaries of human understanding expanded instantly. New ideas for energy, space travel, medicine, and communication formed. Humanity realized that this object was not simply a tool, but a library of intelligence, a bridge between species, and a key to understanding the universe. With the artifact now secured, humans and aliens shared a moment of connection. The aliens projected images of their home worlds, their cities, their families, and their culture, showing gratitude for the care and effort humans had shown. Humans felt awe and humility, realizing that they had become part of a story far greater than themselves. The artifact was a gift and a responsibility, and the aliens made it clear that knowledge alone was not enough. It required wisdom, collaboration, and respect for all life. Back on the surface, humanity celebrated not just the recovery, but the unity that had made it possible. The mission had pushed people to work together, combining intelligence, creativity, courage, and compassion. Borders, politics, and conflicts faded in the face of a shared purpose. Humans now understood that they were capable of extraordinary feats when guided by a sense of responsibility and connection. The artifact had revealed the past, but it also opened a path to a new future, one where humans could reach beyond Earth, learning and growing alongside alien allies. The artifact's power continued to radiate, and humans began to study it carefully, documenting every vision, every signal, every lesson, knowing that it held answers to questions that had puzzled humanity for centuries. The aliens encouraged collaboration, not ownership, emphasizing that knowledge must be shared and respected. The humans felt pride, wonder, and a sense of destiny, understanding that their actions had restored a missing piece of galactic history, and that they had proven their worthiness to stand beside beings who had once considered them insignificant. As the world looked toward the horizon, humans realized that this was only the beginning. The artifact had taught them about the universe, about cooperation, and about themselves. And though challenges remained, humanity had grown stronger, wiser, and more united, ready to take its place in a galaxy full of mysteries, adventures, and responsibilities. The recovery of the artifact marked not just an achievement, but a new chapter in human history, a step toward becoming a species capable of understanding and shaping the stars. Not all of the aliens were united in purpose. A faction had returned not for cooperation, but to claim the artifact by force. They believed humans were too primitive to handle its power and knowledge. Tension grew immediately. Massive ships split off from the main fleet, moving aggressively toward the trenches and cities. Humans watched in fear as the skies darkened, and the ocean trembled under the weight of alien energy. Scientists and engineers scrambled to protect the artifact, while the peaceful faction of aliens reached out to humans, urging collaboration to prevent disaster. The stage was set for a conflict unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Military and civilian teams worked alongside the peaceful aliens, combining human ingenuity with advanced alien technology. Defensive shields were deployed around the artifact, drones and vessels positioned strategically to block attacks. Humans realized that raw strength alone would not be enough. Strategy, creativity, and quick thinking would determine the outcome. Ordinary citizens joined in small but meaningful ways. From analyzing signals to predicting enemy movements, every action mattered, and humanity's courage was being tested to the fullest. As the aggressive faction of aliens struck, energy beams lit the skies, bending light and reality. Ships collided in bursts of brilliance. Water and air shimmered with waves of power. Humans experienced the intensity firsthand. Pilots maneuvered with skill beyond imagination. Scientists calculated solutions under pressure, and engineers modified equipment in real time to respond to the alien tactics. The battle was chaotic yet precise, a dance of intelligence and instinct, showing that humanity could rise to meet a challenge that had seemed impossible just weeks before. The artifact itself reacted to the conflict, its crystalline form sending pulses of energy that disrupted the aggressors. Yet it also tested humans and allies, demanding calm, focus, and cooperation. One wrong move could trigger dangerous reactions. People learned to work together under immense pressure, using observation, intuition, and logic to coordinate every step. Human creativity surprised even the peaceful aliens, who had expected less adaptability, and slowly, humans and their allies began to turn the tide, proving that courage and cleverness could match raw power. Ordinary individuals performed extraordinary feats. Divers maneuvered through dangerous currents to maintain underwater shields. Engineers rerouted energy flows to strengthen defenses. Analysts predicted enemy movements with astonishing accuracy, and even children contributed by noticing patterns in data that adults overlooked. Humanity had become more than a spectator, more than a passive participant. It had become a key player in a battle that could decide the future of the artifact and the relationship with the alien species. The skies above Earth became a theater of light and sound, energy beams painting trails across clouds, water, and cities. Humans and peaceful aliens coordinated attacks and defenses, observing weaknesses and exploiting openings with precision. The aggressive faction underestimated human adaptability and slowly began to falter. The cooperation between species was seamless, each learning from the other, humanity realizing that courage, strategy, and intelligence could equal the most advanced technology, and that the bond between Earth and its visitors was stronger than any weapon. As the conflict reached its climax, humans and peaceful aliens devised a plan to neutralize the aggressors without destruction. Using combined energy, strategy, and careful manipulation of the artifact's powers, the aggressive ships were forced to retreat, their intentions frustrated. The world exhaled collectively, realizing that the power of unity, intelligence, and courage had prevailed. Humans had proven that they could be trusted to handle not just the artifact, but the responsibility of working alongside beings far older and wiser. The battle left scars on the planet, yet it also left lessons. Humans had discovered resilience, ingenuity, and bravery they never knew existed. Alliances had formed across nations and species, showing that cooperation could overcome even the most formidable challenges. The peaceful aliens expressed gratitude, acknowledging that humans' actions had been decisive. The artifact remained safe, and the world had witnessed a demonstration of courage and intelligence that would be remembered for generations. In the aftermath, humans and peaceful aliens began repairing damages, studying what had been learned, and preparing for future challenges. The artifact had survived, humanity had survived, and a bond had been forged in the crucible of conflict. Humans had proven themselves capable of extraordinary acts, not just in battle, but in thought, planning, and cooperation. And the world had grown stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before, ready to face the next chapter in the extraordinary story of Earth and its visitors. As the skies cleared and the oceans calmed, humans realized that the greatest victory was not in defeating an enemy, but in discovering their own potential. The courage, creativity, and intelligence that had been tested in the battle would shape the future, not only for the artifact, but for humanity's place in the galaxy. The lesson was clear. Strength alone was not enough. But combined with unity, ingenuity, and heart, humans could face even the most impossible challenges and succeed. The conflict had ended, and the aggressive faction of aliens retreated into the depths of space, leaving Earth in peace. Humans and the peaceful aliens now faced a moment of reflection. The artifact had been secured, but its importance went beyond possession. It represented knowledge, history, and the potential for growth. The aliens revealed that humans had passed the ultimate test, demonstrating courage, intelligence, and cooperation that proved their worthiness. The bond between species had been strengthened, and a new era of collaboration and understanding was about to begin. The aliens offered humanity a choice regarding the artifact. They could study it, learn from its knowledge, and gradually integrate its lessons into human society. Or they could leave it beyond reach as a reminder of the wisdom required to handle such power. Humans chose to learn, driven by curiosity and responsibility. Scientists and scholars formed specialized teams, sharing information across countries, languages, and cultures. The artifact became a beacon of learning, not a weapon, teaching humanity to think, innovate, and grow together. Advanced alien technology was introduced gradually. With careful guidance, humans learned to manipulate energy, communicate across distances instantaneously, and understand principles that had once seemed impossible. The aliens emphasized that knowledge alone was not enough. It had to be coupled with wisdom and ethical responsibility. Engineers, researchers, and educators worked together to apply the new understanding, developing sustainable energy sources, advanced medical treatments, and innovative space exploration methods. Humanity was entering an age of unprecedented growth. Cities around the world began to change subtly. Inspired by alien designs, architecture incorporated energy-efficient structures and adaptive materials. Transportation systems evolved using the principles shared by the visitors. Communication networks expanded beyond imagination, yet all progress was guided by collaboration. Humans had learned that the future depended not on individual achievement, but on working together with respect, insight, and shared purpose. The artifact's lessons extended beyond technology to philosophy, culture, and social cooperation. As humans learned from the artifact, they also formed deeper relationships with the peaceful aliens. Exchanges of knowledge, culture, and ideas became common. Humans visited alien ships to understand their civilization, while aliens explored Earth to experience its diversity and creativity. Children grew up knowing that humanity was part of a larger cosmic story, and education focused not only on survival and technology, but on empathy, strategy, and creativity, preparing the next generation to act responsibly in the galaxy. The recovery of the artifact inspired governments and organizations to cooperate in ways previously thought impossible. Rival nations shared resources and information. Scientific communities formed global alliances, and ordinary people contributed ideas and skills. Humanity's approach to problem solving became more holistic, integrating ethics, intuition, and technology. And the world began to feel smaller and more connected, as if the universe itself had reached out to remind humans of their potential. Explorations of space increased, with humans and aliens collaborating to study distant star systems, planets, and phenomena. Lessons from the artifact accelerated understanding, enabling humans to create ships capable of traveling further and faster than ever before. Technology that had once been science fiction became reality. Yet the aliens continued to remind humans that power must be balanced with responsibility, that knowledge must serve growth and protection rather than destruction, and that Earth's example could inspire civilizations across the galaxy. Humanity also reflected on its own history, realizing that mistakes, conflicts, and achievements had all contributed to the readiness displayed during the challenges. The artifact's guidance revealed patterns in behavior, morality, and ingenuity, showing humans that progress was not only about technology, but about learning from the past, applying wisdom in the present, and preparing for a responsible future. The lessons were profound, reshaping philosophy, governance, and social priorities across the globe. Families, communities, and nations felt a new sense of purpose, inspired by the understanding that humanity was no longer isolated. The stars were within reach, and the universe was full of connections waiting to be explored. Curiosity, courage, and cooperation became the foundation of human identity, with lessons from the artifact guiding decisions in science, ethics, and diplomacy. Humans had proven that they could be allies, not just to the peaceful aliens, but to countless civilizations they had yet to encounter. The aliens eventually prepared to depart once more, leaving humans with the artifact, guidance, and knowledge to continue their journey. Promises were made for future collaboration, but humanity had gained something even more valuable: confidence, wisdom, and a vision of what was possible. The artifact remained as a symbol of growth and responsibility, reminding humans that learning, courage, and cooperation could elevate a species from obscurity to a meaningful place in the galaxy. The new alliance marked a turning point, where humanity would shape its destiny alongside beings far older and wiser. Humanity looked to the skies with hope, ambition, and determination. ready to explore, learn, and expand, knowing that the universe held challenges and wonders beyond imagination, but also understanding that they now had the tools, wisdom, and allies to face them. The recovery of the artifact had transformed Earth, its people, and its place in the cosmos, marking the beginning of a new chapter. A future filled with knowledge, exploration, and partnership. A future where humans could finally reach for the stars with courage and unity. The alien ships began to ascend slowly, shimmering against the sky as they prepared to leave Earth once more. The humans watched in awe, a mixture of relief, wonder, and anticipation filling every heart. The peaceful aliens projected messages of gratitude, showing scenes of their civilizations thriving again and expressing hope for future cooperation. Children pointed to the sky, imagining the worlds beyond, while adults reflected on the incredible journey that had begun with fear and ended in understanding. Humanity realized that this encounter was not an ending, but a beginning, a step toward a new era. Even as the ships departed, the artifact remained on Earth, radiating energy and knowledge. Humans continued to study it carefully, sharing discoveries across nations, schools, and research centers. The lessons embedded within it reshaped education, science, and philosophy, inspiring people to think bigger, act responsibly, and collaborate like never before. The artifact was no longer just a relic of the past. It had become a symbol of unity, curiosity, and potential, a reminder that humanity had proven itself capable of remarkable achievements when guided by courage and wisdom. The skies returned to their familiar blue, but the world had changed forever. Humans felt a new connection to the cosmos, realizing that Earth was part of a larger story that spanned galaxies, civilizations, and millennia. People began to see patterns and meaning in the stars. Ancient myths and legends were reinterpreted, no longer just stories, but fragments of history and cosmic knowledge. Humanity gained humility, understanding that while Earth was small in the vast universe, it was now significant in a way it had never been before. Children grew up hearing stories of the alien visitors, of the artifact, and of humanity's courage during the challenges and conflicts. These stories inspired a new generation to explore, to create, and to imagine. Curiosity became a central part of life, and education emphasized collaboration, innovation, and ethics. Humans were no longer focused solely on their own planet, but began planning expeditions to other stars, developing technologies and strategies to travel farther and understand more. The universe had opened its doors, and humanity was eager to step through. The artifact itself continued to interact subtly with those who approached it, revealing knowledge in measured doses, guiding humans to explore physics, energy, communication, and even philosophy in ways previously unimaginable. Scientists discovered new methods of harnessing energy that were clean and nearly limitless. Engineers developed systems that could operate across planets, and doctors applied alien-inspired techniques to heal and extend life. Yet all these advancements were tempered with ethical guidance, teaching humans that power must always be balanced with responsibility. Societies around the world began to change, inspired by the lessons of the artifact and the aliens. Cooperation replaced conflict in many areas. Nations formed alliances to explore space, share knowledge, and protect the planet. Technology was developed for the benefit of all, not just a few, and people began to see themselves as stewards of Earth and active participants in a larger universe. Art, culture, and philosophy flourished as humans reflected on their place in the cosmos and the responsibilities that came with new knowledge. Even as the alien ships vanished into the distance, their presence left an indelible mark. Humans had grown in courage, wisdom, and understanding. Ordinary people had performed extraordinary acts, proving that humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. The peaceful aliens had provided guidance, but the humans themselves had risen to the challenge, showing creativity, resilience, and unity that had not existed on such a scale before. The artifact and its knowledge became a bridge to the future, connecting the past, present, and possibilities yet to come. Exploration and discovery became the new focus of humanity, not conquest or greed. The lessons of the aliens and the artifact emphasized understanding, respect, and collaboration. Humans began to look to the stars not just as observers, but as participants, eager to learn from other civilizations and share their own insights. A sense of destiny filled every mind, a recognition that humanity had the potential to influence the galaxy positively, and that every choice, every act, and every discovery mattered on a scale far greater than Earth alone. The departure of the aliens also brought reflection. People understood that contact had not been about domination or control, but about partnership and growth. Humans had been tested and had risen to the occasion, demonstrating intelligence, bravery, and compassion. The future now depended on sustaining these qualities, nurturing cooperation, and continuing to learn. The artifact remained as both a tool and a teacher, its presence guiding humanity toward a responsible and enlightened path, ensuring that the lessons learned would never be forgotten. As the world settled into this new era, humans looked to the skies with hope, ambition, and determination. The stars were no longer distant points of light, but destinations and opportunities, a reminder of what had been achieved and what could still be accomplished. Humanity understood that the journey was only beginning, that the universe was vast and full of mysteries. But now, humans were ready, equipped with knowledge, allies, and the courage to explore, to grow, and to shape their destiny among the stars. The awakening was complete. Earth had changed, humans had changed, and the cosmos had opened its doors. The artifact and the lessons of the aliens had shown that greatness was not given. It was earned through courage, intelligence, and unity. The future of humanity was limitless, and the stars awaited, full of wonders, challenges, and possibilities. A new chapter had begun, one where humans were no longer just observers of the universe, but explorers, learners, and partners in the grand story of life across galaxies.